Welcome, everyone. It's Father's Day. We hope that all the fathers had a great day. And this is Chit Chat with
Chakesha.
and Chauna. It's been a while since we've been here, but we are so glad to be back in what we call our studio. And we have a lot to catch up with. We didn't want to leave you all hanging since the legislation session has ended. So we're going to bring you up to date on some topics. Also, election coming up this week, and Louisiana politics is still raving, and it will never be a dull moment. What do you have to say, Chakesha?
I agree. I agree. And looking forward, I think it was a very dynamic session, I would say, very eventful. Lots of moving parts, lots of things taking place, lots of changes that all of you may be aware of, at least a lot of you. And we do want to talk about a lot of the highlights of the legislative session. We also want to talk about advocacy and how we witness that unfold this legislative session. So some of them we are very proud about, some of the bills that we advocated for, we were able to defeat, and some of the ones that we did didn't get the outcome that we hoped for. But for the most part, especially the ones in education, we were able to see victory in all of those. So the first one was Senate Bill 65. I cannot thank each of you enough, those who reached out, sent letters, emails, made phone calls, voice messages, asked questions, shared posts, all of those things. You helped to save over 600,000 children from just being taken advantage of and displaced based on policies that weren't written for their best interest. So,
yeah. So one of the things that I learned from this, and we're gonna go forth, is the hot topics usually get the news, and that's how things like charters and school policy slips in, because they are considered I guess, high level fruit, and we're paying attention to low level fruit. But guess what? Those charter bills and school bills that were defeated this session, they would have been detrimental to our entire state K through 12 program. And that was a huge lesson for me.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so a lot of people don't understand the magnitude of things until after it happens.
Right.
But those are one of those things. Another bill that we spoke about was Senate Bill 49, and that one dealt with Bessie. So in 2024, that's when the legislator changed to this closed party primary, which a lot of you experienced doing voting this past month or so, where you had to vote based on how you are registered. So based whatever party you are registered with, that's where you voted. So this was something very new for Louisiana.
It impacted the U.S. Senate, but of course the congressional race was on hold, but it would have certainly impacted it as well.
Exactly. So Bessie was one of those offices where they were also put in as a closed party primary. So what they were trying to do with Senate Bill 49 was remove Bessie out of having to do closed party primary race. So it did pass initially the Senate, but the House pushed back on it. And it's like, no, I mean, you made the decision to make Louisiana a closed party primary. So when you start taking out offices one by one, because at first everybody was in the closed party primary, and then the governor and the legislature took themselves out of it. Their races are next year. So they're like, we don't want to do closed party primary. We want the regular primary, take us out. So they took them out. They took the governor's race out, and they left in there the congressional, which was really what it was all done for, to be able to, in my opinion, defeat Cassidy, as well as the opinion of
a second congressional seat.
Well, no, I was going to say Lieutenant Billy Nungesser stated that as well, and that's what happened. They did closed party primary. It cut Cassidy out very early, and it prevented Democratic supporters or independent supporters from being able to vote for him. So now that they accomplished that, it's almost like they want to they don't want their races in closed party primary. So Bessie is still listed as their election cycle is next year. So they have to have a closed party primary race now that the legislative session is over. It is another legislative session next year. So unless something happened before the voting time, but as of now, they have to remain what they originally designed it for. Yeah. So we were happy.
And as a reminder, that means all Democrats have to vote for a Democratic candidate
for Bessie.
And all Republicans would have to vote for a Republican Party. Then there's an option for no party. But if a no party registrant votes in the primary, then they have to vote for a Democrat. What did I get?
The same party for the runoff.
Same party for the runoff. So just always
for the closed party,
right? Yeah. For the closed party.
And then now for the general election in the fall, when the Republican goes against the
Democrat,
then
they have to stick with.
Well, no, then everybody
be open again.
Be open again. Yeah. So so just
what a rat race.
Yes, it confused a lot of people, especially at the polls. Right. A lot of the independent voters went in thinking that they will have all of the choices in front of them that they can pick, but it wasn't clear that they would have to first sign the declaration and then choose which party ballot that they wanted before they went into the booth. Right. So a lot of independent voters went into the booth and realized they didn't have any choices on their ballot, and they didn't get an opportunity to vote in that race. So that hurt, I believe, Bill Cassidy tremendously, that confusion, but I think that was the intention, in my opinion. So just be prepared for the next set of races that are closed party primary, and that will be Bessie for the next year. For next year when they races qualify again. So that was the two. And then, of course, you saw there was a lot of other eventful bills that unfolded, like the Calvin Duncan. Well, we have coined as the Calvin Duncan bill. A lot of litigation happened very swiftly regarding that bill. And right now that lawsuit is kind of in a holding as far as federal court, but unfortunately he's not in office because of all of the events that have taken place while they sort that out.
However, in New Orleans, this has also impacted, the New Orleans Council, the persons who sat in the not the clerk's position, but because they blended two positions.
The civil clerk of court.
Yeah, so
the civil clerk of court.
Excuse me, there are several lawsuits at the local level that have to be resolved. So it's a mess.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, a very eventful session. Judges removed, judges losing their seats because they're combining court divisions, reducing the number of judges, which is going to impact the number of cases. All of this you're going to see play out. You may not see it like in front of you, but if you ever have to go to court for anything, if you ever have to just be in a situation yourself where you're running or someone and love or support, it affects it. You will eventually see these things play out. The DA bill, reducing the number of DAs so that's where we are as far as this legislative session. So share with us, let us know what you think, how you would like to see things done differently. Did you reach out to your representatives this legislative session? How was that for you? Did you get a return call or a meeting where you were able to discuss your concerns? We want to know and be able to share with our viewers your experiences. Hopefully it'll encourage others to get more involved and engaged just based on what your experiences are.
So we do absolutely believe how important it is that leadership matters. And I personally believe that every legislator or any elected official should always themselves or have a staff member return calls, return emails, and schedule meetings. And more we hear that doesn't happen. And I really would love for us to get a mechanism together where we kind of pay attention to that and that we start talking about it.
Mhm.
Maybe design a name of our phone number, or even here on the show, let us know if you called one of the elected officials, whether it's federal, state, and local. What was that experience like?
Mhm.
Both the positive and the negative. But it is important that accountability is not something that happens just when you're running for office, but we really do deserve responsive
Mhm.
elected officials.
Mhm.
One of the things that I learned through this legislature is that when you want people, you want your constituents to be involved. You can't be like have a attitude where like I'm the elected official, I know what's best,
Mhm.
or be offended because they are questioning you. I rather them
Mhm.
question me than come to
Mhm.
their own decision.
Mhm.
So, this is really about accountability.
Mhm.
And I think all of us have so much to lose when we don't have everybody working in our best interest in these spaces.
So absolutely, especially when the hot topic is representation. So we need to make sure that our representation represents our independent thoughts, needs, desires, and then how it all comes together as a community. So with that being said, we
Saturday is election day,
election day. Yes, election day
June
is
27th.
so if you have not early voted yet, make sure that you are present and voting on Saturday. A few important things on the ballot. I know we have the council on agent tax. Is the library tax on there?
Yeah, it's the library, brick, and council on aging, the renewals for 10 years.
Mhm.
So make sure that you are definitely voting. We also have on there the different Democratic Senate and Republican Senate runoffs. So tell
For
us
the
about
June
that.
27th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the runoffs for the closed party primary, so the top two candidates for the Democratic Party and the top two candidates for the Republican Party,
Jamie Davis and Gary Crockett are
the
the two.
Democrats, and Julia Letlow and John Fleming are for the Republicans. So if
Right.
you are independent, whichever race you voted in,
You got to stick with it.
you got to stick with it for June. And then in November, you can vote however you want.
Right.
So make sure you go because and vote. That election is going to be important. That is going to determine possibly who will be our next senator. It's also going to determine the taxes and the benefits from the taxes that you currently enjoy. So some of these are renewal taxes.
So based on the early voting, Democrats are behind. I think it's about a 10,000 vote gap. And because of that, that's making the Republicans feel pretty sure that whoever wins
the June
June,
runoff, they're just not even. It's almost like they're just ignoring the fact that you have one more race in November. So
like it's done.
yeah, they believe it's done. They believe that enough Democrats aren't going to show up in the fall to actually give them a competition. They are looking at it as their biggest competition is right now between the two Republican candidates. So if
So
you
that's up to the Democrats. I mean,
yeah.
we're in Louisiana. We definitely are a red state.
Mhm.
But this is one of those races where people are, I would say Republicans are not fired up since um, Cassidy is no longer in the race. That made a huge difference in the turnout.
Yeah.
So this is really one of those opportunities that if the Louisiana Democrats would get their case together, that they can have a really really good showing. Um, I from the beginning, Jamie Davis has really been campaigning hard. Signs in places that I never would have known. He has a great good ground campaign. Been moving around. Not so much Gary Crockett. I know you've done races with multi parishes, and this is another big one. So to say that he is, he's making a lot of traction, And I would like, it not to be to the point where people just not show up to support either candidate, but particularly one that really has been working hard.
Yeah, and I mean, just the goal is when these candidates get to Congress, the goal right now, the way the political climate is situated in Washington, is more like a us against them, like Republicans against Democrats or Democrats against Republicans, or so each party is working hard to increase their numbers.
Right.
How many? Because it seems like all of the votes are falling along party lines instead of along the issues and policies. So they are racing down to the races of trying to get as many numbers in per party as possible in order for the political agenda to move forward under national administration. So just, pay attention to what's going on, what's happening, looking at the data, because at this point, every vote counts, and just being strategic in the direction that you would like to see the country to go in.
Well, for the first time, AI is making its round in every other arena.
Yes.
But a matter of fact, definitely, I just read an article where the Pope asks the different priests to write their own sermons, not to use AI. So, so AI has made itself in the two topics that are always sensitive. AI is politics and religion.
Yes.
So tell us about.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So AI, it is starting to rear its ugly head in the political arena. I mean, it's already started, but it has gotten worse.
It's fiery.
Very fiery. And you're seeing it more in the Republican campaign versus the Democratic Party campaign. Currently, there are some videos circulating. So before we got to the primary election, the Julia Letlow released a commercial, and you guys probably seen it on TV. It was an AI version of John Fleming driving a bus. The wheels on the bus go round and round, and they had his AI twin driving a bus of illegal immigrants and smiling about it. And while they were telling their narrative over the commercial, it even though it was funny or hilarious, it was very mean, and I'm sure it was very hurtful to the candidate. Even though I'm sure you have to have, I'm more than sure you have to have tough skin in any type of political race. But
AI is opening
but
up
we have
lot.
Never seen anything go that far.
All aboard!
John Fleming wants a taxpayer-funded bus system to bring illegals into our communities.
We don't have enough illegal aliens. Why not provide a transportation program where they're bused across the border?
The wheels of Fleming's bus go round and round, busing illegals into your town.
John Fleming's plan? More, not less immigrants, and to bus them here with your tax dollars.
We don't have enough illegal aliens.
John Fleming, too weak, too woke. The Accountability Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So now we've seen
John Fleming had to answer that.
Yes.
That's the one.
He turned the tables.
Gosh.
Now, he did say he did not have anything to do with putting this video together.
But he said, I'm sure it's a thank you somewhere in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, he posted it on his page as a thank you.
Yeah.
He did share the video. And do you blame him after they ran a commercial like that on him with the bus?
But is she suing?
I heard that we're now filing lawsuits because his is way worse. Okay, so his video is, well, I'm not going to say his video, but the video he shared on his page that someone put together on his behalf to help, his campaign to get the word out about what they believe she's doing. And it's an AI version of her speaking of all of the things she did as if she was proud of it. So
y'all just have to see it.
You have to see it. Yeah, check this video out.
Well, hi, y'all. I'm Congresswoman Julia Letlow, and I'm running for the open U.S. senatorial seat in Louisiana. So I wanted to tell y'all about my accomplishments. I got my PhD to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, I mean DEI, just like my idol, Dr. Jill Biden. I was aiming to become a University of Louisiana president when my poor husband died and I was appointed to his congressional seat. Once in Congress, I voted just like a card-carrying teachers union liberal. Yep, I did it, but I just didn't know any better, y'all, and I won't do it anymore. I also hit the jackpot doing over 200 undisclosed stock trades tied to companies connected to congressional hearings. Yep, I did it, but I just didn't know any better, y'all, and I won't do it anymore. I support carbon capture sequestration schemes that threaten Louisiana landowners with eminent domain abuse. Yep, I do, and so does my brand new lobbyist fiance. Yep, y'all, he supports it too. And in the future, I'll do Governor Landry's bidding, because a vote for me is a vote to make Jeff Landry both governor and U.S. Senator. Yep, that's right. It's all a sleazy last-minute power grab, and I'll always be a liberal academic.
If you love Louisiana, vote Dr. John Fleming for U.S. Senate.
It's unbelievable. It's like, oh my God, I cannot. It's just something like we've never seen. So the question is this the start of AI?
Yeah,
and this is the start of how it will work in
How
politics.
are you going to know what's real and what's not?
I mean, that was so funny.
Do you think there'll ever be legislation against AI in politics, like in?
I don't know if they want. Well, if you look at even what happened in this session, they tried to pass some AI bills to stop that, but I don't think they passed.
No,
surprisingly. So to me, it's like I don't know if they want them to pass.
But I was thinking in higher ed, certainly when you were working, there are all these different rules about AI, and what I think people don't understand, AI, somebody still has to put the wording, the idea, they just polish it. And so it's not like you shouldn't be. So all the things, I'll just say that they put in Julia Letlow's, somebody did research on her voting record, and they're like, I didn't know better, y'all.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this is wow.
Yeah. So you saw the clips of it, but because that was part of the.
But that's also teaching us another lesson, like we said, that we want people to be engaged.
Yeah.
Don't just start being engaged when there is an active race, because get to know your candidates from what they're voting on from day one. If there's any good use of AI, you can literally ask AI for a candidate's votes over several topics. You may not get a total, but it is really important that we become more independent in researching candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is doing the endorsement for Julia Letlow. I don't know how that's going to work out, but just think about if Democrats are really, really against President Trump, then you shouldn't be 10,000 votes behind in this race. You need to be getting to the polls.
Yeah, absolutely. And AI is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Just listen to you. So I do recall they did pass a bill regarding AI use of minors.
Oh yeah, that sure did.
Because I do think that's important.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they did take a stand on that, where a minor can't be negatively impacted or affected by the use of AI. But as far as regulating it on a level to where what we see now as it comes to like utilizing the voices and images of celebrities, candidates, there's still no real regulation to control it right now.
And really one of the things that I've seen, growing up over the years, is what people would do is what they're doing to AI, they would do in mailers. So they would send you a negative mailer about a candidate right before an election day. There's no time for rebuttal. And with people back then, if it's in writing, it must be true. And so it went from letters, I would say around the 70s, people would send letters out at the last minute, derogatory against a candidate. Then it moved to mailers, and now we have AI.
Yeah, that is true. I did not think about that.
Progressive.
Yeah, because we did see that extreme attacks in the mailers
Yes.
of different candidates, because I remember getting them in my mail like, is this for real? Like,
Right.
can they do that? And you're right, now we're seeing a video, AI is right there in your face, on your social media, on TV. So it's just same tactics, just a
Yeah.
new
But
platform.
that just means you need to research more. Go ahead.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
All right. So before we can even get out of the June, it's already heating up for fall elections.
Yes. So yes, fall elections. So whoever wins on the Democratic side and whoever wins on the Republican side, those two will face a head-on-head matchup in November. But you know what I find interesting, and it's almost like the way I heard the Republicans talk as far as like. We get through June, we're on our way to Washington.
Yep.
So I'm like, did you forget you still have to go against the Democratic winner?
Well, again, it's up to the Democrats to make a presence now, so that you can be taken seriously. Because they figure June is our fall date, and there's good reason, because it's usually around this time during runoffs that we fall off, and it's happening now. I don't know what it would take, but like everybody needs to first of all let people know that it is an election, that there are that they will the end of this will be something that will impact us federally, because the presidential race is what, 2 more years.
2 more years.
So I mean, you literally can be impacted for the next 2 years with more of what you've seen if we don't get some kind of balance in the race and try to change the number of congressional seats in the blue.
Yeah, or whatever party you support.
And I'm just saying, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Voting is the only way.
Yeah, voting is the only way. Researching candidates so you can know who to vote for and why you're voting for that candidate.
And don't miss an election.
And getting involved in who's running. I mean, everybody has the right to qualify to run for an office. So you don't have to wait to be handed, these are your list of candidates to pick from. If you know someone who will make a great leader, or if you think you will make a great leader and can bring change, start researching the qualifying period so you can qualify to run for office. Because we need, in my opinion, independent leaders who are not indoctrinated, I'll say, with the same old, it's the way it's been done the last 10, 15, 20, 100 years. It's a big jump, but we really have to have, in my opinion, a change in leadership or the way the government is led in order to bring real change. We need bold leaders. We need leaders who are willing to go against the status quo if it benefits the people, and policies that are going to benefit the people in the long term, and that understands and knows how to work across the aisle. Because whoever's the winner, you don't become the leader for that party, you become the leader for all
everybody.
So that's very important, and it's very important in order for us to be just have a productive society.
Yep, absolutely. So also in November, locally, we have the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney's race, along with the Senate race. I assume by then the congressional race, will that be back? By then, that was placed on hold.
The congressional, so they haven't. That's a good question. They were supposed to be, and I thought they were supposed to do this before the session was over. Identify when we will have an election for the congressional race. And I do believe it's going to be after the June election to determine what
June of this year.
Well, yeah, because
you mean the answer? But do you think it'll be in time for November? Because I know one of the questions that was asked earlier was whether or not the same candidates had to requalify, whether or not it'd be open to additional candidates. I tell you, this is unprecedented, and there are so many misnomers that are out there that will definitely be a change. But this is the important part. this again, I hate to use the word a test, but folks, what we're seeing now is going to trickle down to every race, and it's important that that we just keep an eye on it all, and that's another reason for bold leadership, because a lot of these are going to go right back to the legislator, and if you have legislators that have somewhat compromised in any area, that is when Republicans or the opposite party begins to take you for granted. And that, like, literally, that kind of brought me up to, before we get to the legislative, the file about
Sinai
Sinai
died.
died.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sane died. That means like the end of a session, and no date has been set for a continuation.
Yeah. So in layman's terms, that's the last day of the legislative
Right.
session. It's over.
Yeah.
Everybody's celebrating. Oh, we're finished. We're finished for
Yeah.
the year. So actually, yeah.
This is my thing. I'm not like, I didn't never kept up with this, and I think I may have heard of it once and probably didn't know what it was. Did get an email that indirectly that it was happening, but I'm trying. I guess this my thing is. So I don't know how it originated, but has it always been a party?
So there's two separate things. I know where you're getting.
Okay.
So Sinai dies, and this is everywhere, not just Louisiana.
Yeah.
That everyone celebrates the end of the session. So sometimes parties or political organizations celebrate the end through private parties.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a private party that was hosted by I think it was the Louisiana
Legislative Black Caucus.
Okay.
So yeah. That was a private party.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, they had a private party. They can hold sponsors to host, to sponsor their
food and drinks, food and good time, entertainment.
Yeah, all of that. So they invite who they want to invite to their private event, and there were pictures circulating where several of the elected officials who are also members of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus at the party, and as well as non-members of the Black Caucus,
so
at the party.
Yeah, so it was I guess it was a concert, a party, and because I don't know the context of how it began. And I guess for me, it's just that it was such a emotional drainage and hit for the Democratic Party, even though the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus is based on Black, not party. But right now, all the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus members are Black Democrats. And I can't help but distinguish what I saw with the Calvin Duncan, what I saw with the congressional seats, and the momentum, the civil rights, the unfairness, the people who invested in the advocacy wholeheartedly, mind, body, and spirit. And then at the end, and they weren't successful. And at the end, there's a party, a real party, like a get down party, if though we won. And I'm just trying to put my mind around it, because I the television I see, it's like I have two visions. And I have the vision of elders, young people, in the hallway into 3, 4 in the morning, asking for justice, and then I see members boogalooing, if you will. I'm old, just like getting down like that was something to celebrate. And of course, I love Bootsy and I love a good time, but I'm in context in a time where I believe we as Black legislators are not only being taken for granted among Republicans, but even our own race. We're losing Democrats. We're losing Blacks who no longer have faith that we're down there doing the right bit, doing the people's business. And so it's just, I don't know.
Well, I think that the party celebration, I don't think they were celebrating the wins. I don't know what they were celebrating. Let me just put that out
I
there.
didn't see nothing
But
to celebrate.
I would assume they were celebrating that the session was over for the year because it's very rigorous and intense.
Mhm.
But I do see what you're saying, how it sends the wrong message because so many people were activated and involved who usually don't get activated involved because
Yeah.
the alarm was sounded to a large portion of the Democratic population saying, "Hey, y'all,
Come
y'all
out here.
losing y'all voting rights." Now, I do have. We may say that for another show about that, about losing voting rights, but it did alarm a lot of people, especially young Black people, into believing that they were actually losing their right to go and cast a vote, and that was not what that was. That was not the case. So, but that was the message that was put out there. So people responded in droves to protest, to thinking them believing that they're losing their voting rights, individual voting rights to cast a vote. And after doing all of that, and they feel defeated because they were there, like you said, till 4 a.m, and it was like we did all of that for nothing, and then not just within days on the close of the session or the same day of the session or the night of the last day, they see footage and pictures of the same representatives that asked everyone to come out and fight for the protection of voting rights, actually partnering with the very same people who drafted the bills to take away the voting rights, or what was said to be the voting rights. And led the hearing. Yeah. So
and this guy, I mean, like, I forgot his name.
Was it McMakin? I think it was McMakin. Yeah.
But he like, thank you to the Legislative Black Caucus for inviting me and my wife. Yeah, that was like, to me, that was like in your bag.
Yeah.
And like he's letting people know. And to me, and I get, I was as a councilwoman, we would have heated debates. We would have votes that, of course, went down party lines. And afterwards, every night, we would have food. Depending on, first of all, for me, if it was something that literally took away rights from constituents that are already misrepresented, already behind, disenfranchised. Yeah, I got it to go play. Yeah, I'm not gonna miss any food. But it's, to me, it was like sitting down with the enemy. And I don't mean that like, I know it's politics, but when politics has the way as it does to disenfranchise people, y'all, that's serious to me. And I can't, because I take it personal, and so that's just me. I just can't do that. I can't code switch like that.
Yeah.
One day I'm fighting for the least of these, and the next day, oh, this my colleague. I don't flip that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it does send mixed messages to the constituents, especially if something that's so serious, just so alarming. And I don't recall anybody ever addressing it, even when the community became outraged. Did anybody address it?
No, I did see that Senator out of Monroe did a really good job this year.
Jackson?
Senator Jackson did not address
the
party, but she did say that after the legislature, she went straight home. And I'm sure there's a lot of decompression. That's what I'm thinking. Like, that was heavy. That was a heavy.
Yeah, 2026 was very heavy.
It was heavy. Like, that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. This was. I do think our leaders should address that at some point because it's such a big question. We did see that question come out a lot
need to
as
learn
far as
from it.
like, well, why? Is it something that we missed? Because it may be something that
Mhm.
the constituents may not understand or know. Whether it's the purpose of the party or how everything fell out or
Mhm.
what was the
What
bill
happens?
really about as far as what
Mhm.
does it mean to lose voting power, voting strength versus voting rights. Um, just being clear about that. I do think there needs to be more conversations around it, but from our leaders who participated in that process.
And
So,
this is my thing. The Louisiana legislature, I mean, there are opportunities, all legislation to party. Really, crawfish balls, receptions, dinners, lunch. There's a lot of, because, there are lobbyists, there are special interest groups that invite, and nothing is wrong with that. All that's part of the landscape. But because you don't know where the end is going to be, I don't think you should uh, plan a celebratory event because you don't know what the end is going to be. I would prefer, and this is me outside looking in, that is something that is more inclusive. It could be where you decompress, and you don't want to get right into going on and saying what happened, but just along with your people,
well, I think
you
any
know,
session, I mean, in any state, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some.
yeah.
You can't win them
This
all.
is just with major.
And you don't want a session where all bills are rubber stamped, yes.
No.
And you don't want a session where they all voted no, because now you're not getting any work done.
Right.
So we don't expect a win, and I don't want to say we, or because it's like we group everybody as if everybody thinks the same.
Right.
But as far as whatever policies that our leaders advocate for or author, we can expect to win some or lose some. But this is the first time where we've had, and that I can remember in my lifetime, a session that after civil rights movement that actually took us backwards.
Yeah.
And when I say took us backwards, I mean where we're losing
seats, new policies that have never happened to literally void the people's vote. That's unprecedented.
Yeah,
I
I was talking about losing opportunity for justice. So with no reason to justify, no legitimate reason to justify why. So removing a civil clerk seat at the last minute after the person was already elected. That is a problem. It sends the wrong message. Reducing the number of judges, changing around the number of DAs. All of those policies drive who goes to jail, how many people go to jail, and what the population is going to be shaped to look like at the end of it.
It's weaponized. I say weaponizing politics. I just don't believe there should ever be a place where we weaponize politics.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of that. I mean, if you look under Jay Morris's the bills he authored just alone in this session, they don't. It's not a diversity of different industries that he's trying to touch and affect. A majority of them deal with what we just named as far as changing things up that will change up how structures and systems operate in this state that is going to potentially hurt a certain group, a certain population. So, and it just passed with ease because the policies were considered a lot in this session along party lines and not necessarily along policy.
And not only that, they were not, I talked to several people who would say how some of the Republicans, when they voted, they were destroyed. But they felt they didn't have any choice. And again, that's where we go back to kingdom. When you talk about bold, we got to get to the point where I'm gonna do right. I don't care what it looks like. I know I'm saying that, but I literally
because that's how we both operate.
Yeah, and you have, if you don't stand for something,
you fall for anything.
You fall for anything. And what I've also found, there's a scripture that says, "Whatever you fear, it will come upon you." And I have never seen that fail where people are voting based on their position, keeping it, not keeping it, and they don't eventually lose it anyway. And so my integrity, my character, my morals, my values, they're going to outlast a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if more people on both sides would begin to operate like that, and people know that's what they stand for, eventually all that other stuff is going to fall apart. I know some of, I've served with some really good people, both in the honor council that have moved on, and I know they're good, but they voted bad,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all in fear of holding on to a position.
Right.
So that's I think the challenging thing with elected officials, the ones who, when you're given an ultimatum and you know it doesn't sit well in your spirit, that you shouldn't be supporting that initiative, but you do it because you don't want to lose funding for your next campaign, or you don't want the powers to be to attack you negatively in political ads or tearing down who you are, which will affect you getting elected again. You hurt. You become focused on self, and you hurt a whole community or a whole constituency, because you're helping support, if you're doing this, policies that you know are not going to benefit the people that you represent. So it's important. I think this session proved to us that the more of the lay public that gets involved and start understanding and start learning how things work, that where we have to start advocating for ourselves, and that speaks louder than any one elected official, because when the constituency speaks up, and not just speak up at the sessions, but in the voting booth, because that speaks louder than any outside threat of a political campaign support or non-support.
So in closing, we just want to, tell you again, election Saturday is election day. Please go out and vote. Um, just don't miss any election. So June 27th, election day for U.S. Senate, as well as tax for East Baton Rouge Council on Aging, BREC, and the East Baton Rouge Library. Coming up November, the results of the U.S. Senate race, also East Baton Rouge District Attorney. The incumbent is Hiller Moore, currently in that seat. I mean, I think he's been there 30 years, maybe, I heard. I'm not sure.
It's a long time.
Then there's Ryan Thompson that has indicated that he would be seeking the seat. There's a lot of time between now and qualifying in August.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are going to be some other interest. And we just thank you so much for being here today with Chit Chat with
Chakesha
and Chauna. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye, guys.